I call the member for Melbourne Ports.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Chuck Berry toured Australia in January and February 1959 for the first time. He came back here 4 times, November 73, September 76, 78 and September 89. I was fortunate enough to attend one of his Australian concerts. And the tour of that great American rock and roll icon shows the deep cultural affinity Australians have with the United States. I recently saw Mad Mel Gibson's great film, Hacksaw Ridge. All of the actors were practically Australian. But the great Richard Roxburgh, my personal favourite, Hugo Weaving, all of them. Very interesting that an iconic film about that great US medic and conscientious objector, Desmond Doss, who saved 100 people on Okinawa, could be made almost exclusively with Australian actors. And that's the context in which this resolution by the member for Canning, who I praise for bringing this resolution to the House, should be seen. As the member for Gellibrand said, John Curtin made a famous declaration in 1941 that symbolically shifted that relationship from of Australia towards the United States. Not only did Curtin insist that divisions be brought back home for the defence of Australia, including the 6th and 7th, but he also made a little-known agreement with the President of the United States and Mr Churchill for the 42nd US Infantry Division to come to Australia for its defence and for us to leave the 9th Division in the Middle East for its crucial role in the Battle of El Alamein. From the point of view of the victory of the Allies in the Second World War, that was a very wise agreement and again underlies the context in which the cooperation between Australia and the United States goes back. As one of the contributors said, it goes all the way back to the days of Monash, where the first 10 US companies involved in the First World War fought under Australian leadership at the Battle of Hamel on the 14th of July 1949. And of course we've been with the Americans in every conflict since the First World War, the Second World War obviously, Vietnam and many other places. Who can forget Steven Spielberg's, for instance, haunting film series The Pacific, where it was underlined that the 1st Marine Division came back from Guadalcanal, where they were nearly destroyed, and spent 9 months in my city of Melbourne. 9 months until they went back into service. Of course, Australia's cooperation with the United States in intelligence. We have Pine Gap in the central part of Australia, the largest NSA-CIA base outside the United States, and it contributes to the peace of the world through its monitoring of missile launches in Russia, China and now more pressingly in North Korea. This has also led recently to the pivot, a bit disappointing under President Obama, where only 1,250 US servicemen are here, but we've had, as someone pointed out, the squadron of Raptors arrive in base Tyndall for cooperation, and we have 30,000 troops serving together and getting experience in our regular annual exercises Talisman Sabre. So the cooperation between Australia and the United States is seen at a technical level, at a military level, at an intelligence level, but it's underlined by our common democratic values and our huge business interests. Australia has $594 billion of investment in the United States. Iconic Australian companies like Visy and Westfield have their biggest representation there. We have enormous American investments in Australia that far outweigh any other investments by any other country. But I want to come back to this point. It's underlined, this entire cooperation, pointed out in the resolution of the member for Canning, of common democratic values, our common systems, our common view of the world, the fact that we have a free press, freedom of assembly, and the difference that the countries of the Five Eyes have compared to the rest of the world is something worth clinging to, and certainly being non-partisan. I know that the member for Kooyong described the President of the United States as a dropkick. I don't think these kind of things should be partisan. We should keep good relations with the United States, above all because of our common democratic values.
I thank the member for Melbourne Ports and call